Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's me to go fast. I have the blank, and I can play Chi, keeping BHST blank, or I could play Qubit using the blank and placing the Q on the double letter square. 52 for Qubit, keeping HS. 22 for Chi, I'm going to go for the extra points. Blank's worth about 20 to 25 points. And this rack leaves quite good. Not close to a bingo, but I've got good scoring tiles in the F, H and K. And I've still got the S from my previous rack. The F is the least bingo-y of the heavy tiles. But I'll be looking to play off 2 of the heavy tiles. So a play of hoof would achieve that. Nowhere for that to play at the moment. I could use my S to pluralise Qubit if necessary. So I could play Shook. As it stands, I could play Hod in row I, but then I'd be keeping 2 of my high-scoring tiles. And given that I've got an S, I would like to make this rack as bingo-y as possible, as soon as possible. 20 points for my opponent, and he has provided a spot for hoof in row F. But I can also play foe in that spot, which provides fewer opportunities for my opponent. Scores more and retains a vowel. So I prefer this. I do draw another O, so retaining the vowel didn't pay off on this occasion. Foe takes an N after it, but not an S, I believe. Now Look and Colo are both good, and they would leave rack leaves of ADS, which is fine. So I can play Look in row E, parallel to foe. I'm just looking around to see if there's anywhere I can get more value from my K. Well, Fet takes an A, My takes an L. But if I play across here, I'm not playing the K, and I do need to, because that's a non-bingo-y tile. And it's good that Look takes an S, whereas Foe didn't, because I have an S. 25 points. That's pretty poor. I kept a good rack leave, and I've drawn very badly. Fortunately, I do have a vowel. Now, with a duplicate S, I can play off one of them for very few points. And looking at my rack, a play of cards would sort the rack out, and I can play that in row I, making Mike and Feta. I don't have anything to go in front of ilk apart from S, and I can't use that to good effect. So this is what I'm thinking of. I could stop here, keeping RSS, but this scores one more point, and I think this rack leave is better. Not great. I don't have a bingo with this rack. I have scoring tiles in the P's. So I could play prog parallel to queer. I don't have anything to go in front of ilk apart from my S. One of my P's could go in front of Lod and also in front of O. Great, only 9 points for my opponent. He's provided no floaters for me to consider. I don't want to miss a bingo with this rack. It looks unbingo-y, but there may be one. So I've got the floaters in queer, the E and the R, and I've got the I of ilk. Okay, well, I can't see anything with any of those. So this is what I was thinking about doing. Well, I was thinking about prog, but I think prop is going to score more and leave a more bingo-y rack leave. 24 points, not great. Is there something better? I don't think so. Now I have listings through the I of ilk. Not sure if there are any anagrams of that. Through an A, I would have anglists and saltings and a bunch of others, but the final A of Aya is not available. Now, do I have anything through RE in row K? I don't think trestling is good. And what about OR in row L? Can't see anything there. So at the moment, it's just listings in row C. And if that's blocked, I'm going to struggle to score. I've also got IS in column 11 to consider. Can't see anything through that. I have an 80-point lead, which is good. And I note that my opponent has got an ISC rating of 300 to 400 points below mine. Through a U, I would have singults and tussling. There is a U available in Qubit. Singults doesn't work quite. And nor does tussling. Great, listings stays available. And there's still a blank out there. $70 points. I don't draw the blank, I do draw the J, which is a good scoring tile. And this rack is pretty unbingo-y. But if I played off the J and the W, it would be a decent rack leave. I'm looking at the triple words squares that in row A. Can't see a way of playing off the J and the W to use either of those. If I had an R, I could play Swaraj in column 15. So I'm looking around for places for my J. I could play jaw and jar in row G. That's not going to score very much. So I'd like to find something better. I think wasm, W-A-S-M, is a word that used to be good and has now been deleted. Otherwise, that could have played in column 15 for a decent score. Well, my opponent gets 18 points, but doesn't provide anything new for me. Now I could play jam in row B above listings. That's not going to score very much. So, what can I do here? I'm still looking around for anywhere to play jaw. Can't find anywhere. Apart from row G. That would be 23 points. Should I do that? Rack leave of ADMN, not fabulous. There's one S and one blank left, so that's the danger of playing jaw. But I do have a lead of over 100 points, so I can certainly survive a bingo. Now, is Jam Dan good? I know Jam Danai is. Well, it doesn't matter because I haven't got a good spot for playing it. 13 minutes on my clock. I could play Jism in column 11. Well, the rack leave is going to be worse than jaw. I'm tending towards playing jaw. I note that the Z is still out there, and this triple letter square is pretty hot because a play of Zo would score nearly 70 points. But I can't do anything about that right now. I think the score's okay here. I'm not taking a score sacrifice. I haven't seen anything significantly better score-wise than this. No duplicate tiles, but not a good rack. I'm going to struggle to find a decent score here. This board looks open, but there aren't a great number of opportunities available. Column 8 looks good at the top of that triple word square, but to really take advantage of it, you'd need to place a high value tile on the double letter square at D8. And I can't see a way of doing that with this rack. I think the best I can do is something like mold for 27, keeping the V and the G. That doesn't feel like a good idea or an optimal move. Through an O, I would have Omov. And looking in row J, that's triple letter square where a Z could go. Could also have a D or an O there, and IS takes an O, so I could have a play beginning DO. So I could play dog or dom. And IS takes an M as well as an O, so I could have a play beginning OM. Onto an E, I would have dog vein. That would sort the rack out. Now I have a 110-point lead. Great, only 6 points for my opponent, and although I can't score hugely in this spot, I can score. So I could play dog or damn? What about Dogman? I think Dogman is good, because I think Dogma takes a hook other than S, or in addition to S. I am retaining the V, but this is going to score well and turn over tiles, which is good because it expedites the end of the game and increases my chances of drawing the blank, and 44 points is a great score. Well, that could have been worse. It's a pretty good pickup. I don't have a bingo, but it's a rack I can fairly easily deal with. There are quite a few short words which use both the V and the W. So vowel, vow, wove. Wolf, wolved. So I'll have to see which of those are playable. 24 for my opponent. Well, I don't have anything which goes in front of tar, and I don't have any high-scoring tiles to go in front of UN. My opponent hasn't opened any bingo lanes, so there's nothing I need to particularly worry about as a result of their play. I could play DOW in column 13 for over 30 points. I'm keeping the V, but the V is a scoring tile. If I play wolved in row B, I'm opening up the triple word square at A8 and I'm scoring less. Now I could play wold, so the same tiles as Dow in column 13 I could play in column 8 at the top for 30 points. And I could play Veld in that spot, but I'd rather hang on to the E. Although there are a lot of E's left, if I'm only playing off a few tiles, there's no guarantee that I'll draw one of them. 10 minutes on my clock. Am I missing somewhere good for my V or W? And is there a way of playing off both of them? Well, I could play vowel in row B, but that's just setting up my opponent for a good score at A8. This is quite good because it's taking out two bingo lanes, rows B and D, that were available for 7-letter bingos. Well, not too bad. I've got the V for score, and this is quite a balanced rack. It looks close to a bingo. Only 6 points for my opponent. Fantastic. I've now got a 170-point lead. Now, my E can go in front of TA. So I'm looking in to see what I can score in column 13. So I could place my E's in front of TA and X. Now, is there a way of playing off the V as well? So either my R or my T could go in front of UN. Well, I think the best I can do is something like Rev. 27 points. Just looking at the floaters in World to see if I've got an 8-letter bingo. I don't think I have. Now, TA also takes a U in front. Can't quite play velour in that spot. I could play loot, but then I'm opening up row O, so I think rev is best. There's only one U unseen, so the danger of keeping a U isn't as great as it sometimes is. I have Amulet. I can't see anywhere for that to play. It would have played in row B had I not blocked it with Wold. 14 points for my opponent. They play off 3 vowels, so could be suffering with an excess of vowels. So is there anywhere for Amulet? I don't think so. Do I have anything through the floaters in Wold? I don't think so. I have no scoring tiles, but I do have a huge lead. So can I pay off a bunch of tiles? I could play Lunated in row D. 16 points. And that's only providing an L as a floater, so I quite like that. It's hugely expediting the end of the game with only 17 tiles in the bag to play off 6. And I'm providing good scoring spots for short words, and that's to my benefit more than my opponent, because my opponent needs bingos to win. I don't have a bingo with this rack, and I have drawn no scoring tiles, so the Z and the Y's and the V and the B and the C are still out there. If I played off double E, I would have quite a bingo-y rack lead. Feg takes an S, as does a do. But those S's aren't in particularly useful positions in a bingo. In particular, they don't allow a bingo with S in last place to play. Now, where can I play double E? Well, nowhere obvious. I suppose I could play it above ST in row B. That's only 10 points. I could play it in row J, making mice, for 12 points. And I could also play OE rather than double E. Wow, fantastic bingo by my opponent through the W. Excellently found, 67 points, 4 tiles in the bag. So, double E or OE. Well, the Z's still out there, so I'm going to go with double E. 12 points. Leaving 2 in the bag. Is there a way of leaving just 1? Actually, this is much better to play up here because the row J placement was obstructing this bingo lane. And double E up here actually scores more. I have 5 minutes left. Great, I have Tertian, which plays in row K, making a deuce. So I'm glad I did switch that double E placement. Do I have a play which, an alternative bingo? And I'm looking at row N, being able to place an S after feg, so I'm looking for a bingo with S in first or second place. So it's an Eastrin, Norites, Orients, Tertian, Triones. So I don't think any of those does work. I don't see anything through the L of lunated. I have retinols, but that doesn't play. Not sure if there's any anagrams of retinols. No, there are no S's or blanks left. Ah, well, I have Stonia. Stonia in row N, making fegs. Great, so that's 2 bingos. Both remain available. No tiles in the bag, which is good. This is going to end the game. Tertian Adu's 69. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game. Which he does. And the final score, 263 to my opponent, 471 to me, a winning margin of 208 points. So a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go fast. I played Qubit for 50, and that looks best. Although the blank's worth 25 and the 25 or to 30, and the gap between Qubit and Chi is of that order, the rack leave after Chi is so poor, as in the sense that there are 4 consonants and the B and the H lack synergy, that the Qubit play is better, in my opinion. This was my opponent's rack. They played Med, and I played Foe, and that looks best. My opponent's rack, they played Queer, and what did I do here? I played Look for 25, keeping ADS. I could have played Duke in the same spot for 3 more points, keeping ALS. Probably not very much between those. My opponent's rack, they played Ilk, and this was not a good rack for me. And I played cards at I7, and I think that looks fine. My opponent's rack, not good. They played Aya for just 9 points, and this was my rack. I played Prop at J3 for 24. I could have got 2 more points for Jippo at D6. Where's that? How does that work? D6. GIP. Ah, okay, yes, making Plod and Do. I think that would have been a better play, but not by much. My opponent's rack, they played Feg, and this is when I was fortunate that the Eye of Ilk remained available, so I could play Listings, and that was the only bingo. My opponent's rack, they have Huitain. What else do they have? Well, Huitain doesn't play, and nor does anything else. His for 18, and this was my rack. I was looking to play off the J and the W. Adjuan, I didn't consider that. Where does that play? J11. Oh, well, okay, interesting. Adjuan across here, opening up the triple word square. I played Jar. Well, I played Jaw, rather, across here, and the Jar spot is here, making Mica, but I don't like this rack leave, keeping the W and the M, So actually, I still prefer my move to the others on offer. This was my opponent's rack. They did not have a bingo. Played win, and then I played Dogman for 44, and that looks best. My opponent's rack. Luxurist through an S or an L. That's not available. No bingos available, and they played Tux. And this is my rack. Wow, J6 Vold. Oh, great play across here, making Myco, Fetal, Re and Add. That would have been the play. Instead, I played Wold for 30. Yeah, 18 points fewer, so certainly Vold would have been a better play. My opponent's rack. They did not have a bingo. Played off just the O, and this was my rack. E-Rev for 32 points. Well, actually that's not significantly better than Rev because the E has value. So Rev is fine. This was my opponent's rack. They didn't have a bingo. Played Ague, and then this was my rack. I had Amulet, nowhere to play it. I played Lunated to expedite the end of the game and increase my chances of drawing the blank. Possibly. Well, I don't think Luna down here is good at all, opening up the possibility of a 9-timer, especially with the blank out there. So Lunated may not be best, but it's not far behind the moves here, if at all. This was my opponent's rack. Fabulous spot of Driveway, but Valkyrie was also available at B2 through the L of Lunated. But excellent spot of Driveway. This was my rack. I played double E for 14, and that looks fine. My opponent's rack. He played Cuz, and then finally I'm able to go out with either Tertian or Stonia, and they both score the same, which I hadn't realised. Why do they score the same? I'm surprised. Well, they do. So that was the end of the game. Always good to win by a massive margin, and that was a victory by over 200 points. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game and got something out of it. My name is DWEEB, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.